Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick, the next to last episode ever of Girls Ever.
Coming to an end.
Wrap your head around that goodbye tour.
Well, it's
Grace and Brett and Alonso. That's the title of the episode.
right,
Yes.
but it's kind of hard to imagine that there is one more because this episode wrapped up things pretty well.
We were just talking about that. I was like, this is a great finale, but it's not. So like, what is the finale going to be is the question. But let's talk about what we got before we speculate on what may well be. Can we just, a moment for Shoshana?
Shosh gave up.
Shosh pulls it out after weeks of not really being around and sort of quietly being the sanest person on this show. She fucking dropped the hammer this week.
Yeah, she did. She is engaged.
Yeah.
To a sane graduate of Al-Anon, and like I can't think of any better training to deal with this passel of.
Yes, like I love the line where she's like, "You see the pretty people with purses
and jobs."
Yeah. Those aren't my friends.
Those are
my friends.
Those
now.
are her friends now. So she's moved on.
Right.
Yeah.
But like her,
I have to give that scene credit for really calling out things I hadn't really put together in my mind as to how I felt about these people, because I did, and I think that's how a lot of people are about their friendships until someone finally calls it out and just is like, we're not good for each other.
Yeah. Actually, that's not it. Yeah, that was so great.
Yeah, I think I realize why you miss Shoshana in this episode, because I think that she's as fabulous as she's ever been, and also like she's just honest and she just gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not even, there's not even cruelty to it. It's just sort of like, here's what's happening. I've moved on. We can't really do this anymore because I understand what it is we do and I understand how fucked up it is, and I'm over it and I'm moving on. So stay, enjoy, have some canapes, and then like bye.
And they stay and enjoy, and I think that's kind of nice to see.
There is that.
It's like a last hurrah. It's like a grad party is what it felt like.
Yeah, it does. It
felt
does.
like you're looking around and this is our last time together before we go on and do other things, because we're at a very clearly defined part in our lives is when it moves forward. And that's the difference between like graduating high school or graduating college and having to move on from a friend group after all that's done. Because if you're living in the same area, these are the same people, and there is no like end ceremony. It'll just drag on for years until either you guys end up having been great for each other or something terrible happens.
Well, Hannah will not be living in the same area anymore.
So do we think that was like a literal what's happening next? Or is it like her fantasy while she's at the party of what her life's gonna be like when she moves on? Because who the hell are those people helping her move in?
Who's to say? I mean, let's not forget, like Hannah trooped off to Iowa to do the writers program and was back in what, 3 weeks or something crazy like that? So I'll believe it all when I see it.
I forget what
I believe it. I think this sort of makes sense because we've seen Hannah throughout this season really struggling with like, is this what my life is gonna be? Is Marnie gonna be helping me with this kid? Is Elijah gonna be doing it? And so I think it does really actually make sense where her characters come this season, that she would want a clean break and to move somewhere. But
no, I can believe it. I'm just saying I don't know that I do.
Right.
This show has fooled us before.
I forget what show I watched where the characters just said, I am tired of this dynamic. I think it might have been Breaking Bad or something, where like it was a meta statement of one of the characters in a scene, the likes of which they have twice a season for the last 5 seasons, where they're like, I am bored of this dynamic. And the writers put it, oh no, it's Mad Men. In Mad Men, they're just like, I am tired of this dynamic. And that's what
when he walks out of the meeting at
whatever pitch meeting.
Where he's like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, he's like, I'm tired, but he says, I am tired of this dynamic, which seems like the writers going like, we do this all the fucking time.
So are we, Don Draper.
And that's what I felt Shosh was doing. And the bucolic imagery of upstate New York just echoes that of Kansas or Iowa or wherever the hell she went before.
Also, the great Ann Dowd from Leftovers as the dean or the head of the department, wherever the hell she is.
And they keep having these same, and Leftovers is a great one because it's like this weird out of body feeling of just falling into the same patterns over and over again. And that's why I think there's promise for the next episode of that moment that you get, that end of the graduate moment, where they've had like this watershed, sea change, and then they're just like, oh crap, I now have to live in Ithaca.
I think that that's actually a fair prediction, because I think it's possible, because this episode really did feel like a nice finale, that maybe we would get a bottle episode with just Hannah in her new life and have that graduate moment of like, wait.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, this next episode could take place the next day. It could take place 5 years later. Yeah. Like, there's any possibilities there in terms of, is it just about like, what do they all do next? Is it about them crossing paths again and they're all gone to different places and they have that awkward lunch where they realize that they don't really have anything in common anymore except nostalgia? It's anybody's bet. But yeah, Nisha Ganatra came in to direct this episode. Just want to give her props. She got the Outfest Achievement Award last year, or the Fusion Achievement Award, and she's a terrific indie filmmaker. And I think this was just one of the strongest episodes of the whole show, and partially just for the partially for elephants in the room kind of being exposed, so brilliantly, but just kind of barreling us to this inevitable climax in a way that felt kind of, you're right, it feels organic. It feels like that moment that you have periodically in life where you realize this is now over and this is the next part.
Right, and thinking about it, the baby is obviously like, I have to change now and I have something else to live for. And we did see in the previous episode, everyone kind of latching on to that as like, oh, purpose, tangible purpose in life. Thank you, I'll take it.
Yeah, we didn't even get Adam this week. Like, he is so off the...
Things that didn't work for me was like they kept using music so hard. Like the singing felt like,
the Cool for the Summer.
Yeah,
I liked that.
I didn't like it. I felt like it was too clever by half. Like, and then her mouthing the word. I don't know. I did like it felt very directory, like those, but it was very well done. Like the final sequence, going the flash forward and back, and same frame changing.
Oh yeah, totally. I like that we got a one last dollop of Gabby Hoffman.
Yeah,
because I was worried we weren't going to see her again.
Yeah, where was she?
Who knew that?
That was fun.
And one stint in a hospital really helped. And I also was glad that frankly, I'm glad that Jessa and Hannah kind of, to some extent, buried the hatchet, because yes, they're both messes and they both have a lot of shit to deal with. But it's great that the shit that they have to deal with isn't just about a guy.
Right.
Yeah.
That it's about the other sort of the larger issues in their life.
Yeah, I like that.
Because it would have not felt authentic to their relationship had we left them boiled down to a broken friendship over a guy.
Yeah.
Because that was never really how they were in previous seasons. So I am happy that they dealt with it that way, but I don't know.
Right. So Marnie, did we have any closure with Marnie? She just was...
Marnie is going to be Marnie for the rest of her life, and she's going to get away with being Marnie for the rest of her life because she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I think that's the underlying thing of the show, is that Marnie's never going to learn anything. Marnie's always going to be surrounded by enablers, and Marnie is always just going to skate through.
Yeah, and we saw that in her little slow-mo scenes with 3 boys around.
Yeah, exactly.
But
she's got a great web therapist.
Yeah, so what do we want out of the last episode? What do we want?
I don't want too much closure. That's the tricky thing with, unless you're going full bore 6 feet under, you have to sort of leave characters in a way that feels like enough of a mini catharsis to cap off the story that's been told here, but not one that just assumes that, and this is the rest of their lives, period.
I would be fine if we left the friends and followed Hannah into a new life and maybe into like a new friend group, or like the beginnings of a new friend group, and then we could imagine in our heads and then there'd be instead of girls, it's women or something.
Do you want them to be right for her, or do you want her to make the same mistakes again, or were they mistakes at all?
No, that's a really good question. I think I would probably want some more juicy, flawed characters to be introduced, but I think that the finale should really, for me, I would like for it to focus on Hannah and the baby. I think that's a big storyline that I hope they deal with well and completely. What about you, Brett?
I want to see, I like that new friend group, and I want them to give me totally different dynamics that are equally as compelling as these ones have been, and are not now representative of 22 to 27-year-olds, but rather 27 to 35-year-olds.
Yeah.
One last thing I want to throw out. I love the scene where she sees the two friends in buying the candles for their new apartment. I had this memory of the end of the first Sex and the City movie where they see the sort of other quartets of young women going out. And it's like that movie ends with the idea of like, we were once them, but now we're us and we're still friends. And this is like, oh, we used to be that and now we're not talking.
Candle buying does not end well.
I mean, I want to see Charlotte and I want to see Samantha. I want to see them all in the finale of Girls. And I want them to pull. Because
into a brunch.
In the preview to this, I definitely saw Sarah Jessica Parker still arm in arm with the HBO, intellectual property. And I just want her to be like, listen, she sits down with Carrie Bradshaw, writer to writer.
There we go. How do we get into Vogue.com?
Here we go.
So it's anybody's bet. All right, we got one more of these to go. We hope you'll join us. Thanks for watching.